The biggest inefficiency in most companies isn't the process. It's that people believe they share the same understanding when they actually don't. Shared terminology is not shared understanding. Create shared understanding first, then design the process. Document the understanding and not just the process. My name is Alex, and I'm glad to welcome all system architects, builders, and problem solvers to my channel. Here, we don't just talk about better systems, we build them. Let's jump right in and let's have a look at something you're probably very familiar with. This is the textbook lead funnel. What I've observed many times is that companies slightly adapting it and talking about it like they have reinvented the wheel. And there is always new terminology coming with it. However, lead performance doesn't improve. What's happening then? The big blaming game starts. CRM is blamed, marketing automation is blamed. If you have one, the lead scoring system is blamed. Marketing blames sales, sales blames marketing, and nobody is happy. My take on this is, I don't think the process is the problem. I think we are trying to optimize something that does not even actually exist. There is no such thing as a lead. Before we start, let me make you one promise. Everything I share on this channel comes from real projects, real mistakes, and real experience. I don't care about productivity hacks or management buzzwords. I care about building systems that actually work. If every video gives you just one idea you can use on Monday morning, then we have both used our time here very well. Enough talk. Let's get into action. On this channel, we are referring to the builder's method. It's our universal method we apply to everything we build. The builder's method consists of 4 steps: understand, model, leverage, build. First, you understand the system as it really is. Then you model it. You make the hidden logic visible. Then you find the leverage, the one point where a small change moves everything. And only then you build. Most people jump straight to build. We don't. Before we improve anything, we first understand the system. So, today's session highlights the relevance of shared understanding, and the lead process is a very prominent and well-known example of misunderstanding. We assume the current process has been created to simplify the complexity of different intentions, from prospects or existing customers. Let's take that step back and look at those leads from an entry point perspective. Before we create our model, we have to gather the data for our model. So I created here a list of different lead sources. The list is not complete, but it should fit our purpose. It's our example list. In addition to that, I created 3 dimensions. First is the lead volume. That explains how many leads in average are coming in from that lead source. Second dimension is the business impact. That means how much sales, revenue is generated through this lead source. And third, we have the customer intent clarity. This one is a little bit more difficult, but let me give you a few examples here. A lead from a company website, if it's the product website, for example, it's pretty clear the intention is quite strong, but it could be still a customer, a prospect searching for technical data or for a brochure. It's not clear that he really wants to purchase something, but I would rate the customer intent quite high. So I say it's medium. For the webinar, well, if you have webinar participants, that could range from I'm just joining here to learn about the content up to I'm interested in purchasing a product or a service. As a third example, existing customers. From existing customers, you pretty much know what to expect. They know what to expect. If they come back to you, of course, most of the time they are interested in purchasing something. So I would rate this as high customer intent clarity. So with these insights, we can now create our model. Let's switch over. We have created a model that helps us understand where the inefficiencies are and where we can truly generate value. So we are looking for high impact and low clarity lead sources. And this is where we get suspicious. So looking at this map, we have the trade fair exhibition leads, the webinar leads, and also the distributor partner leads in our example, where we say the lead management process is not sufficient to effectively develop these kind of leads. So what we are doing is we do the deep dive and looking further into these lead processes and improve them. I like to start here with the webinar leads. As I said before, the intention of a webinar participant is not very clear for us. However, the lead itself is considered in many companies as a high quality lead, and this creates misunderstandings among the stakeholders. If a potential customer is willing to spend 60 minutes of his time to watch our content, he must have strong intention to purchase, right? Well, let's have a look what happens in the funnel here. From experience, there are only slight process variations from the standard lead process, which results in wrong expectations of each other. Marketing thinks they delivered qualified leads for sales. Inside sales, for them it's pretty clear that they cannot call 500 people asking for their intentions. Sales is still waiting for their opportunities, and management wonders why there is basically no impact at all. Nobody was wrong. Everybody simply had a different understanding of what the others were doing. Before we move on, let me teach you one German word that fits here just too well. Our German word for this session is Scheinkonsens, or illusory consensus. So it just means everybody agrees on the word, but no one really agrees on the meaning. At this point, I need to manage your expectations. The fix to our problem is almost boring and underwhelming. But before we start creating that solution, I'd like to share a second example from a different lead source. Let's have a look at that celebrated trade fair lead. It can be exactly as worthless as a newsletter lead if the definitions and rules aren't cleanly applied. In addition, sometimes the lead collection is not even in our hands, and it varies on two axes at once. First, the visitor intention. Someone strolling past, pushed by staff into handing over their contact, versus someone who walked up on purpose to our booth, planning that meeting in advance. Second, who collected it? Your own staff, who rate strictly, versus an external partner or distributor rewarded for volume. Same label, wildly different value. What we have been looking at over the past minutes is a lot of complexity simplified by experts into one universal process. And what is the trade-off here? Leads falling out of the funnel left and right. We're trying to further optimize an already over-optimized system. So there is no such thing as a lead. Only different intentions arriving through different doors. I have to say it again. The fix for that is underwhelming. It is groundwork expected by professionals like us. Documentation, transparency, alignment. Not a better CM system, but clear shared definitions. Let's do that groundwork, shall we? I never start by redrawing the process. I start by bringing all the parties into one room. Marketing, sales, inside sales, customer care, sometimes even the external partners. And we walk the process together. So who does what and when? Then we document it together. You can even let an AI listen in and help. The output isn't a fancy BPMN. It's a process everyone can follow and, most importantly, we write everything down. Because the documentation is the real asset. That's what we rework later, when the requirements or conditions change. People enjoy it too. They designed it, so they can carry it. Creating a shared understanding is already valuable. But there is one more thing I would definitely document after the workshop, and it's not the process. Most teams document the result, the workflow, the stages, the responsibilities. You know that conditions change over time, and we have to be aware of that and consider that also in our modeling approach. What you really want to preserve is the reasoning behind your decision making. There's a full formal way. You can build user stories in Jira or Confluence. But in daily operations, I almost never see it done. So reduce it to an absolute minimum to make it work. 3 questions. First, what did you try to achieve? Second, which constraints were true at the time? And third, which decision did we make because of the constraints? Take webinar. Our objective is generate as many qualified opportunities as possible. But we don't know real intent, and sales cannot contact everyone, right? So we keep nurturing until intent becomes clearer. That decision is not permanently correct. It is correct under the current constraints. And here is the key insight. A process is not wrong just because it is imperfect. Utilizing one standardized exhibition process, knowing lead quality differences, can be perfectly rational if you currently cannot manage one specific process per event. It only becomes a problem when you document the process and forget why you accepted the limits. So the process becomes reviewable through its reasoning. Whenever you revisit it, you ask 3 things. Is the objective still right? Have the constraints changed? Is the decision still the best response? The day a constraint changes, say capacity or even AI, my favorite, now you can qualify everyone. You don't accept the old decision, you review it. Do not finish with a process diagram. Record the objective, the constraints, the decision. Document the reasoning, and not just the result. Most companies jump straight from a problem to a process, and then treat that process as the truth. But a process is only today's answer, never the universal solution. Builders document the why, the requirements, and rebuild the process whenever the requirements or conditions change. If you treat the process as truth, then you optimize a system that cannot be optimized. What I'm observing is that a project stops the moment the process is live. I am adding one more step. Don't just document the new process. Document why you changed it. When your business changes tomorrow, you won't start from zero. You will build the next process from the same understanding. Remember this little illustration here. It will make your life a lot easier in the future. Processes are temporary. Understanding is reusable. And the question I will end every video with: what human limitation was this management system originally designed to overcome? For the lead, the answer is simple. No one could process every intention, so we built one box and called it a lead. But once you see that, something clicks in your head. A lead is just a placeholder, a variable, and you define it. Whatever works best for you. These are all just variables. We fill them with meaning by defining them. If this shifted how you see just one word in your CRM, good. Because we will do the same thing to the concepts everyone treats as settled. And tell me in the comments, I'm curious, which lead in your company is representing 5 different things? Now, let's have a look what will come next on this channel. Next, we take the same lens to pricing and why your price list is a frozen model of a moving reality. After that, sales management. Same idea every time. So remember, you cannot improve what you don't understand. Now go build something better.